Shivaya. Om Namah 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 Shivaya. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We spoke about hurt and guilt, which we carry from the past. So Swamiji, to forgive somebody seems to be fair. When we have two-step response, we can see that the person who acted in a hurtful manner was in pain, was helpless, and that's how that person did what that person did. So we understand, and it is possible to forgive them. But how about guilt? You are saying that you forgive yourself. That looks like a very easy escape. When I did something wrong, should I not be punished? This guilt, how can I simply say, I forgive myself? So, let's understand what creates the sense of guilt. When am I guilty? When I failed to live up to my own expectation of myself. I always have an expectation of myself that I should be an honest person, a truthful person, a kind person. This is my expectation of myself all the time. And I also have a habit of judging myself as to how did I actually behave in comparison to my expectation. So whenever I find myself conducting myself in a manner which is quite contrary to my expectation, where I expect myself to be a dishonest person and I acted in a dishonest manner, I told a lie, I insulted somebody, all of this is against my value. Understand that we do not wish to hurt anybody deliberately. When we are deliberate, we are always good people. Because that is our nature. By nature, I am a kind person. So whenever I am comfortable with myself, I am a kind person. It is when I become angry, I become frustrated, I become hurt, that is when I become different from myself. And therefore, cruelty is not my nature. I become helplessly cruel. I'm helplessly angry, helplessly cruel, helplessly dishonest. Meaning that whenever anybody violates a value such as truthfulness, honesty, non-violence, it is never a deliberate act, it is always a helpless act. Arjuna asks of Lord Krishna, "O Lord, what compels a person? What is it that compels a person to go against his own value?" Meaning that whenever I go against my own value, it is out of compulsion and not out of volition, not out of choice. This is very important to understand. That I am not a deliberate person, that I become an impulsive person. I become controlled by my impulse of hurt, frustration, anger. Some impulse controls me and makes me act in a manner which is contrary to my value that I have accepted for myself. So when I hurt somebody, at that time I did not deliberately hurt, understand. It is some impulse within me, such as anger, such as hatred, some resentment, which is what compelled me to act in that manner. If I am in my right mind, then I can never be cruel. I would always be kind when I am myself. Always a kind, loving person, this is what I am. And when I act in a manner different from that, it means that it is something else that makes me act that way. I don't do it deliberately or by volition. It is by compulsion that I do. Understand this. Although we always resent and hate people who are dishonest and corrupt and cruel. Which may be alright, maybe, but then if you look at the person behind that behavior, we find a helpless person. Similarly, if I look at myself, the person behind my hurtful behavior, I will find a helpless person. A person in pain, a helpless person. So when I want to forgive, I am forgiving the helpless person. It's a two-step response. Just as when I forgive other person who I find helpless, I find that whenever I do something wrong, it is out of helplessness that I am doing and not out of happiness. And therefore, when I forgive myself, I forgive that helpless person that I was at that time. When I look at that past event or episode from the present standpoint, right now I am a deliberate person. And therefore, I analyze the past event or episode. But as I said, when I really objectively see myself, Swamiji, I am supposed to be honest, but that is ego. To expect myself to be always right, to expect myself to be always kind, to expect myself, I should have known better. That means you expect yourself to be all-knowing. I should have known better. That's what we say. That means you expect yourself, you demand from yourself that you must be all-knowing. Which means that we are making demands upon our own self as to what we should be. And when we cannot live up to those demands, we punish ourselves by being guilty. But I said, there is ego that makes demands upon itself. Why do I expect myself to be all-knowing, to be all-powerful, to be always under control? I am also vulnerable. I am also limited. Thus, also recognizing our own vulnerabilities and helplessness when we see, very often we find that we are making unreasonable demands of ourselves. That I must always be right. I must always be in control. I must always know. These are the kind of expectations or demands that I have of myself, and I am not reasonable to myself because I am also a limited, vulnerable person. So when we accept that reality about ourselves, I am also vulnerable. If they say it is human to err, there is the same thing. Human means what? Human being is limited in knowledge, limited in power. They are not always in control of the environment or himself, and therefore he errs. So thus, in a two-step response to myself, that in the hurtful behavior that which I displayed, behind that was a helpless person. It's a helpless person that I am forgiving. Because you only deserve, you can't punish a helpless person, You can punish a cruel person, you can't punish a helpless person. But cruelty is out of helplessness. So in that manner, it becomes possible for me to resolve my guilt also. That does not mean that I condone all the wrong things that I do. I should learn from the past. I should learn the lessons and under what conditions I am vulnerable. So what precaution I should take in order to not be vulnerable, in order that I am not alert, that I should practice being always alert and take conscious actions and unconscious actions. So how when I am not conscious, that is how I wind up doing things that are not right. And the value for being alert, value for being conscious. So we should learn from the past mistakes. Rather than punishing ourselves for those mistakes and not learning anything, we recognize the mistake as a mistake and learn from them so that we can hopefully prevent similar mistakes in future. So this is about the past hurt and guilt. It applies to present also. Present times also people hurt me. Then also a two-step response of the person behind the behavior. and that person is a helpless person. Even though cruel outwardly, even though aggressive outwardly, even though violent outwardly, but inwardly, a helpless person, controlled by the impulse of anger, or frustration, or hurt. Similarly, in the present, I can treat my guilt also that way. Now, when we come to living our day-to-day life, surrendering to Ishvara means bringing Ishvara into our life. Which Ishvara? One who is my well-wisher. So in the present also, my problem is twofold. One is not correctly understanding the realities of life. And secondly, even after understanding the reality, not gracefully accepting them. I know, Swamiji, that I am going to die, but I don't accept it. I know that I can make mistake, but I don't accept it. So there's twofold resistance, twofold problems we have. One is not correctly understanding the reality of life. So what's the basic reality of life? That this universe is nothing but the manifestation of Ishvara. And it is the order or harmony that Ishvara is what he manifests as a universe. So there is an order. And whatever happens, happens according to that order. Same law of karma or the law of order. And therefore, now when I am confronting different situations, which I brand as favorable, unfavorable, desirable, undesirable, it is my habit to brand everything that I confront. When I confront a person, then also in my mind there is judgment. Favorable, unfavorable. Desirable, undesirable. A friend, not a friend. Some judgment first takes place and then I respond. Thus, when I even confront a situation, first judgment takes place in my mind. This is favorable or unfavorable. Desirable or undesirable. First my mind judges and then responds. If the judgment is that the situation is favorable, then I greet the situation, I congratulate, then and unfavorable, I reject the situation. So either embrace the situation or reject the situation. This is usually my response to a situation. Whereas Lord Krishna describes a wise person, na abhinandati na dveshti, na abhinandati. He does not get overjoyed or embrace and hang on to the situation. When I call something desirable, favorable, then I want to attach myself to that. I hang on to that. I don't let it go. The thing comes and wants to go, but when it is desirable, I don't want to let it go. There is a struggle. There is something undesirable. When I judge, then I want to reject it, and it wants to stay. You see, there is a constant struggle. Whenever I judge something desirable or undesirable, I struggle because desirable, my mind wants to hold on to that. Undesirable, my mind wants to reject it. And so, what is the reality? Reality is that whatever happens, happens in order. There is nothing desirable, nothing undesirable. What is right. And so, what is called surrender is surrendering to Ishvara, that whatever happens every moment is in fact done by Ishvara, and whatever Ishvara does is right, is for my good, and therefore graceful acceptance of what is. When I judge a situation as favorable, it is not a graceful acceptance because I look at one aspect of it and judge as favorable. When I brand something unfavorable, there also is not objective because I look at one aspect and brand is unfavorable. Being objective is what is right, what is in order. That being the case, neither favorable nor unfavorable. Neither do I want to hang on to that, nor do I want to reject it. That is what we call a graceful acceptance. So graceful acceptance of what happens. But what happens is not in my control, it happens according to the law of karma, or happens according to the law of Ishvara, nature. What has happened has happened. There is nothing I can do. No point in complaining, no point in rejecting, no point in weeping about it, no point in hanging on to it because it is what comes also is going to go away. Therefore, being objective. No raga, no dvesha. No attachment, no aversion. Usually, we act out of attachment or aversion. And thus, we do not objectively see anything. When we confront anything without attachment or aversion, then we are objective. That's called prasad buddhi. And what happens is grace of Ishvara. What happens? Happens for my well-being. But Swami, how can you call pain as well-being? When painful situation comes, isn't Ishvara punishing me? Am I not suffering for what wrong I did? No, we don't know. What we know is what happens is manifestation of Ishvara, and what happens always is the right thing and always for my well-being. If pain comes, also well-being for helping me to grow. If pleasure comes, well-being to encourage me. And so, pain also is not rejected, is also gracefully accepted. Pleasure also, I don't hang on to that, I let it go if it wants to go. Agate swagatam kuryat gachantam na nivarayat. What comes, welcome it. What wants to go, let it give, let it go means not that you hate it, you give it the freedom. Give the world the freedom to be what it is. Give Ishvara the freedom to be what it is. Then you enjoy the freedom to be what you are. And the surrendering in the present is surrendering my reactions of raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion, which in fact compel me to judge a situation as favorable or unfavorable. So when I find my mind judging something as favorable or desirable, I remind myself, it is right, neither desirable nor undesirable. Because desirable, undesirable are my subjective perception. It is not an objective perception. What is right. What is prasada. What is grace. Somebody did favor to me, grace of Ishvara. Unfavor to me, grace of Ishvara. Somebody likes me, grace of Ishvara. Does not like me, because again that is my judgment and I should not reject anything. Just because something fails to live to my expectation or demand, I reject when something does not live up to my expectation or demand. Why did you not come to my place? I won't come there. You are no good because you did not do that. You are no good because you did something. You are good as you are. Whatever I confront is good and right as it is. So welcome whatever comes. Because we carry the impression of the past of what this person did in the past. And I judge that person in the present also, where the same person is there. Why do you do that? The person is fresh and new. And therefore, give up this baggage of the past, of the hurt and guilt that I had from that person, and freshly welcome the person for what the person is. If the person has some difficulties, some blemishes, let it be. Person, Swami is not honest, let it be. Give them the freedom. Give others the freedom to be what they are. When you make a demand, he's dishonest. So he tells lies. He doesn't behave properly. He doesn't do this. And you have no business, to keep on and judging and branding people. They are what they are. That's how Ishvara has made them. And therefore, you accept what is beautiful. Because beauty is no definition at all. Whether a dry tree is beautiful, or the trees with few leaves is beautiful, or trees with all the leaves is beautiful, now that's your subjective thing. It's beautiful as it is. Winter also is beautiful, and spring also is beautiful, and fall also is beautiful. A person who likes you is also beautiful, a person who dislikes you also is beautiful. That is tough, but that's what requires us to grow. With this attitude, we grow from our narrow-mindedness, from always judging and expecting and demanding, and we become a welcoming person. You will transform other person. Not that is your agenda, but if you are a welcoming person, if you are a loving person, other person also will get the message. If in our mind we reject a person, even smiling outwardly but rejecting inwardly, we do that, somehow the message gets conveyed. Therefore, genuinely, you be a kind person. So kindness should be our value to whoever it is. Everybody deserves our kindness, whatever they are. Thus, that is how we greet everybody with kindness. And there is an impulse to teach him a lesson. That's what he did. Let him come before me, I'll teach him a lesson. I'll say this, I'll do this. All this retaliation, all of this tendency to retaliate, tendency to take revenge, all of that has to, it's all violence. And all that hurts me, therefore letting go, this tendency is arising from violence, of retaliation, taking revenge, rejecting, teaching lesson to other people. Leave it to somebody else. You don't have to do all that stuff. We take too much responsibility upon our head, that have to make everybody right. I have to teach them. That's not your responsibility. You are not a judge. Judges are appointed to do their job. Police is appointed to do their job. If somebody is punished, let the police do that. Somebody is a judge, let the judge do that. You don't become a police and don't become a judge. In which case, we have the benefit of everybody as they are. We can enjoy what is, we can enjoy people as they are. Why should I put condition upon myself that I can enjoy a person only when they satisfy this condition or when they are such and such? Why? Why can I not enjoy a person as a person is? Why can I not enjoy a situation as the situation is? But my habit is to always change everything. When you serve me food, then I add salt in there and all kinds of stuff I do. I rarely eat things as they are served me or as they are. So we have to go back to nature. Whatever nature has created, we should learn to enjoy that. I'm not doing it, but then don't give me that food also. But this is the principle. In principle, I believe that we should be as close to nature. That's called sattvic food, by the way. Just by the way. Sattvic food is that which contains sattva. Sattva means life. So the food that has more life is more sattvic. More you cut and paste and cook and fry, more life goes away and is farther from sattva. So sattva means life. And sattvic food means a food which has life. In that case, the naturopathy people want us to eat what is natural, which has a life. They say even if you cut it, then life is affected. Cooking is out of question. Fire they don't want. Your stomach fire should do the thing. The outer fire has done the job in the fields, and stomach fire should do the rest of it, not this fire. Anyway, I'm saying all of this, I don't follow it. But this is the principle of sattva. We cannot do that with food, because of whatever habits we have, but we can learn to do that with the world. Natural as they are, because something is bitter also. Something is sour also. That's all tastes are created by Ishvara, isn't it? 6 kinds of tastes are created. Ayurveda says that ideally in our diet all the 6 tastes should be there. So bitter also should be there, pungent also should be there, salt also should be there, sour also should be there, sweet also should be there. In moderation. I have all of them, but sweet predominates. No, everything is moderation. Similarly, there are people who are bitter. They are sweet. They are sour. They are pungent. All kinds of things are there in the nature. We have to learn to enjoy everything. If there is a value, this becomes our value. That I should be able to enjoy, welcome everything as it is. That's called prasad buddhi. Prasad buddhi means accepting what comes before me as prasada or grace of Ishvara. Not easy to say. But we have to set some kind of target for ourselves, otherwise we will never grow. So this is our target. That I want to transform myself. Right now I want to transform the world to make the world acceptable to me. It should be the other way around, that I want to transform myself so that I find the world acceptable as it is. It is a process of change or self-transformation. That's all surrender. Surrendering what? Surrendering my reactions. Surrendering my demand as to how others should be. They're not supposed to be bitter, not supposed to be sour, not supposed to be pungent, they're supposed to be only sweet. You like only one taste? But there are all tastes in nature, and there are all kinds in nature also. And so, growing in our own accommodation. It's called accommodation. That's the kshama or forgiveness. Our Swami uses the word accommodation. That more and more I can accommodate. Accommodating is non-demanding and welcoming. That's called accommodation. So thus, in that value of bring Ishvara into my life, that what is created by Ishvara, what is manifestation of Ishvara, and what is complete in the order and perfect. So rather than trying to judge a situation by my definition of what perfect is, rather than changing things to suit my definition of what beautiful is, that can I see the beauty in what is? Thus I transform my ideas of what is beautiful, what is good, what is acceptable. So this is the surrender of my demands of how the world should be, how people should be. I surrender and gracefully accept them as they are, because it is manifestation of Ishvara or creation of Ishvara. So without Ishvara there is no surrender. Every time we bring Ishvara into our life. This is the response to what I cannot change. Lord, give me the serenity to accept gracefully what I cannot change, what I have not created, what I confront. Give me also the courage to change what I can. Who I have to change? I have to change myself. So, gracefully accepting what comes to me, and I try to change myself in terms of having the right values and attitudes. We just said, how do I change myself? By letting go my present definition of what is beautiful and seeing beauty in what is. By letting go my demand of what is good and seeing good in what is. So that is the courage that is required to change myself. It requires courage because I have to let go a lot of things that I am hanging on to. Let go many of my demands and expectations and agraha that I have to let go. So thus, changing all the time myself is a thing here. So God, give me serenity to accept gracefully what I cannot change. And that's what I confront. Give me courage to change what I can, and that is myself. That's all I can change. Or, as Lord Krishna says, karmanyavadikaraste Ma phaleshu kadashana, with the freedom as far as the effort is concerned, and therefore take responsibility for what I do and a commitment to do what is right. Two choices in a situation: to do what I like versus to do what is right. What is right means what is right is in keeping with dharma, with the order of Ishvara, with the values that are given to us. So being honest is the right thing, truthful is the right thing, being forgiving is the right thing, being giving or charitable is the right thing, being contributor is the right thing. My grabber is the wrong thing, being giver is the right thing. My first impulse is grab. But can I become a giver? That is the right. What I like is to grab. What is right is to give. What I like is to be a consumer. What is right is to be a contributor. Thus, in every situation also, I am required to let go, to surrender my normal tendency to do what is convenient to me. That's what I call what I like or what is convenient to me. That is my first impulse. First step response to a situation, to do what is convenient to me. A two-step response is to do what is right. What is one-step response? My mind immediately will react or immediately respond by doing something that is convenient to me. Because after all, there are certain things important to me, Swamiji. After all, money is important to me, my name is important to me, my fame is important to me, my power is important to me. So we have given importance to all this stuff in our life. It is going to require that I let go the importance given to everything else. This principle or this basic value or attitude of gracefully accepting what is requires me to let go of other things that I am hanging on to. As long as I hang on to all these material accomplishments and see success in them, see happiness in them, so long I cannot do what is right. If wealth and fame and power and all this stuff is important to me, then they will dictate what I do, not what is right. For me to be dictated to do what is right, I have to let go of the hold that they have upon myself. This is what we call acquired values. The natural value is to do what is right. The acquired value is to do what is convenient, because these things have attachment and fascination for them. I have to let go. Like letting go of their apples, So you're climbing up the mountain, letting go of the burden. What is the burden? Attachment is a burden. The wrong value I have given to things, attachment comes from a wrong value I give to things. I made money too much important in my life. The power and fame are too much important. They have importance. They are required and they are useful in my life, and that much value I should give them. Our Swami says, money is nothing. No, that is also wrong. Money is everything. That is also wrong. Money is nothing. That's wrong. Because money is something. You need that. Money is everything. That also is wrong. Because there is something much more important than money. So we give the value that everything deserves. My job also has importance, family also has importance, my income also has importance, money also has importance. We give importance to them that is right due to them. At the same time, over-evaluating them means I am under-evaluating myself. They are not so worthy that I have to sacrifice myself for them. When I do something wrong, I am sacrificing myself for that sake. No, they should not be given so much worth that I sacrifice myself. I am the most worthy in the universe. I am the most precious in the universe. Nothing is more precious than I. What is I? My values, meaning that nothing is more precious than the values. So doing what is right is doing what is valuable to me, following the values, following dharma. But that will require that I have to let go the value that I give to other things. We cannot do something that is right unless we let go what is convenient. In every situation, there is always a choice of what is right and what is convenient. What is right and what I like. I have to let go what I like. Which is difficult. That requires courage. Give me courage to change what I can. So doing what is right in a given situation requires a courage. Because my mind itself will revolt against me. The greed in me says, Swami, don't do that, don't give it to him. Don't declare what you have. Don't reveal what you have. Don't be open. Don't be honest. People will exploit you. They will take advantage of you. They will treat you as a doormat. So my insecure mind comes up with all kinds of excuses of why I should not do the right thing. So when we do something not right, there is always a justification in our mind. Our mind is very clever and gives justification for what we want to do. Swamiji, this dharma is okay. That's all in books. It's all in the pravachana. Following dharma is all good for swamis. You don't know what the situation. Samsara is a different thing. They get bhiksha free, so what do they worry? They are taken care of, so they can afford to talk these things. Put them in our condition, Well, you are also welcome to become a Swami and then discover what it is to be a Swami anyway. But everybody has their prarabdha. Nobody can escape prarabdha. Nobody can escape. Even Lord Krishna cannot escape confronting situation, even though he is Bhagavan. But he also has to run away at one point from a battlefield. He also is defeated. He also has to accept defeat. He accepts insult from many people. So, what life is going to bring to you, whether you are a sannyasi or whatever you are, you have to go through that. Do you think just because you are a sannyasi that there will be no pain in your life, there is no disease, everything is there? Is it not so? And people can also hurt you. They can do every kind of thing. That's why prarabdha doing, not somebody is doing it. Meaning that you don't think that by changing the dress or by going away some place or by changing something outwardly is going to change, is going to relieve me from confronting the challenges. Challenges will be there. Our Swami used to compare our life with a drama or with a play or a movie. So what kind of movie it is where there are no fights and where there are no conflicts and there is no challenge? It is always there. Otherwise it will become like a movie that this boy is born, is very handsome, very strong, always number one, first rank in his class, and always wins all the sports events, and gets always gold medals in everything. He finishes high school and goes to university, same thing. Gold medal in his study, he gets medal in his sports, and goes for PhD, and he is in high demand. He gets, on the campus, they want him, and they get great packages. A very successful man. In a short time, he has a beautiful house and big car and, or a stretched limousine, chauffeur-driven, whatever. And then his wife, equally beautiful, equally successful. Then there was a son, equally beautiful. If this is a story, so we will want to watch that movie, he says, In Indian movies, there must be some fighting should take place. People should leave home, somebody should fall down, something should happen. That's called drama. So there cannot be a drama where this stuff is not there, where challenges are not there. So similarly, there cannot be life where even Lord Rama's life also had enough challenges, isn't it? Lord Krishna's life and enough challenges. With the Pandavas and challenges, Kauravas, everybody has their challenge. Is it not so? And look at the life of any great person. you find what challenges they have gone through, what struggles they have gone through, what inner conflicts they have gone through, and how they have asserted their values and their willpower to overcome those inner weaknesses, and then only they could be what they were. So my mind will always find justification of taking the easy way out. Shortcut. That's what we want. But no shortcut in life. No shortcut in growth. In nature, there are no shortcuts. A fruit does not become ripened in a shortcut. We can do that by subjecting the fruit to some nitrogen gas or something like that and make it appear as ripe. Inside it is rotten. So fruit becomes ripe and sweet only when it takes its sweet time. Then whatever sweetness is there becomes manifest, fragrance becomes manifest, everything is there. You have to give enough time to ripen. And so we have to give ourselves enough time to ripen. Doesn't happen overnight, but has to be done. There are Vedanta does not show any shortcuts. There is no moksha in 3 days and no moksha in 30 days and no moksha in days, etc. There is no such thing. Swami shows some shortcut. Put your hand on my head. That I can do. What it will do, I do not know. Because Lord Krishna did not have a feather which with which he touched Arjuna. He had to go through the hard way of understanding and growing. So this kind of dreaming and imagination or some kind of romanticism about spirituality, that something will happen and some blissful thing will happen, it's better that we let go and accept that we have to undertake the hard or painful path of self-growth, and there is no gain without pain. So when our pain comes, welcome it as an opportunity to gain, that's all. So this is the prasada buddhi, 2 ways of gracefully accepting what comes to me, and secondly, a commitment for me to grow, knowing that growth is painful. Let go. Every time it's a surrender means letting go. So this is the yoga part of surrender. What Lord Krishna calls karma yoga. Living a life of yoga, which is life of self-growth, which is life of letting go, life of surrender to Ishvara. Without Ishvara, there is no spiritual life, by the way, as far as I am concerned. Without Ishvara, there cannot be spirituality. For the simple reason that we are limited, we are vulnerable, we need help. We find that in this effort we fall again and again and we commit mistakes again and again. That is all right. We fail. We fail to live up to our own expectation. Oh, I should have done this, but we fail. Doesn't matter. And so, but we always require grace of Ishvara. And therefore Bhagavad Gita concludes with a statement that where there is Arjuna with his bow, where there is Lord Krishna and Arjuna with his bow, wielding his bow, that is where the victory is. So in our life we require 2 things, self-effort as well as grace of Ishvara. So always keeping Ishvara in this mind, always bringing him in our life and accepting him as of the nature of Suhrut is my well-wisher. He is of the nature of grace and love. So thus when we grow in our inner strength and purity, then comes the next stage of surrender. That is when you have the luxury of becoming a sannyasi, if you want. Because becoming a renunciate is not an easy thing. You know what is a renunciate? Who doesn't do anything. A renunciate is a person who doesn't do anything. It is not easy not to do something. It's very difficult to refrain from doing something because our mind pressurizes us to do things. You know the story of that simply sitting Swami. He's simply sitting Swami. He used to come to a temple of Lord Shiva and simply sit there before the Lord from morning till evening. And as a reward, he got one share of rice, part of the rice that was offered to the Lord. So this was the simply sitting Swami doing nothing and receiving his reward of rice. So a new administration came, the new manager came, and he was taking stock of what is happening and what is the cost and what is the expenses, and he discovered that this fellow, this simply sitting Swami, we are giving him every day a share from the prasad of the Lord. What does he do? There's nothing, he's just simply sitting. Then why are you giving him? I don't know. He says that is what is coming down, from the past, so we are doing it. Stop it. So poor simply sitting Swami did not get his share of rice next day. He stayed hungry. He came again, hungry. When this 2-3 days passed, and he went to the office and asked them, how come you have discontinued giving my share of rice? He said, that's what the new manager says, that you are not doing anything, so you don't get anything. He says, well, I invite your manager to come and sit with me and not do anything. So that is when that fellow says, what is the big deal? I will not do anything, Not doing anything is easy. Doing something is difficult. Just try. And so here is simply sitting Swami. And beside sitting manager, with his closed eyes. And then he started looking around and counting how many people are sitting there. So Swami says, don't do, just keep your eyes closed. Counted how many columns are there, how many beams are there. So stop doing it. Started doodle, don't do anything, just sit simply. In 5 minutes that fellow got up, he says, I know, I cannot simply sit. Give him 2 shares of rice instead of 1. So Arjuna wanted to give up his duty. Lord Krishna said that giving up your duty or not doing something is not under your control. Because you do not do things, it is your mind that pressurizes you to do things, and therefore you must gain freedom from your mind, then only you have a choice of not doing something. And we all know when we try to meditate and try to do something, try to quieten the mind, how difficult it is. So first is the process of maturing the mind by this surrender, by letting go. What creates pressure in our mind are all those ragas and dveshas. This hurts and guilt. This is the baggage inside which pressurizes me to do things, which does not let me sit quietly. The first step is this, what we describe as surrender yoga, where a mind is more or less free from inner pressure. When there is now, I have acquired inner peace. When I make peace with myself, we have to make peace with ourselves. All conflicts are with our own self. And because I find myself not what I want to be, so when that inner peace comes, when I am comfortable with myself, now the luxury of giving up the outside activities. Then a luxury to take up another more subtle activity in terms of contemplation, in terms of pursuing the knowledge. Then our scriptures consent, says you can give up your duties now. Give up all your duties and commitments. You have the freedom to do that. So that's nice, isn't it? To give up duties and commitments, Swami, I like to do it right away. But then what will you do? Suppose no duties, no commitments, then what will you do? Because mind wants to do something. And therefore, properly do the duties and commitments so that we become free from them. It is doing right action which is a means of becoming free from action. Understand? Now, inaction is not the means of becoming free from action. Right action is the means of becoming free from action. Arjuna, when you thus acquire an inner freedom, where you have the freedom not to do something, when you have freedom that your mind is available to you, Mind is cooperative. Mind supports you. Then now you have the freedom to give up these other commitments and take up the commitment to the pursuit of knowledge. Commitment is there. Now mostly the mental level. Formerly it was a level of interaction, function at the level of body and speech and interacting. Now you don't interact with the world, that is done. Now you pursue the knowledge in terms of more fundamental question. What's the ultimate nature of Ishvara? What's the ultimate nature of self? What's the ultimate nature of reality? You already understand, you already develop a comfort with the reality. So then only you can know the reality. If you're not comfort, you can't know something. Whenever you want to know something, you must first develop comfort with that. For example, you want to look at an object which is far away, then you take your telescope and you first focus. That's called developing comfort with that object. Then only object will reveal itself to you. Similarly, Ishvara will reveal himself to us when we develop comfort with Ishvara. The self will reveal itself to us when we develop comfort with ourselves. Because Ishvara is not separate from the self. And the only way we can know Ishvara ourselves is when it reveals itself to me. When will it reveal itself to me? When it becomes favorable to me. This first developing comfort with myself, and secondly pursuing the knowledge of myself. So then I surrender further. Surrender what? All my duties, responsibilities, and take up the commitment to the pursuit of knowledge. Listening to scripture, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam is the second level of surrender. And culminates into what? Culminates into recognizing that I am limitless. I am a full and complete being. Meaning the ego is finally surrendered. First karma is surrendered, then kartrutva, the sense of doership is surrendered. First, surrender raga dvesha. Second, surrender karma. Third, surrender the surrenderer. They say. Yena tyajasi tat tyaja. Now give up the giver up. Meaning that you no more even retain the status of surrenderer or giver up. That also you give up. Even the surrendering also is to be given up. Then you become totally free. So surrender at every step brings about freedom. The ultimate step is total freedom. But the extent to which we let go and surrender to that extent, we keep discovering freedom. It is a path of progressively discovering freedom and happiness. So this is a very beautiful path because it is a path of discovering happiness at every step. When you surrender, what is a burden to you, you discover that much freedom. Thus it is discovery of freedom as you proceed. And freedom means happiness. So discovery of happiness, discovery of freedom, that's what surrender does. So surrender is freedom. Lord Krishna says, Tyagas Shanti Anantaram. Tyaga, when you renounce, when you give up, when you let go, at that moment itself you experience peace. When you let go of everything, you experience absolute peace. So it's not a one day happening. The someday I became peaceful, Swamiji. Someday something happened and 1 minute I became enlightened. So in 1 minute you became peaceful. Before that you were not peaceful and now you became peaceful. Until then you are not silent. Now you become silent all of a sudden. That cannot be all of a sudden business. Is not there, Even though they may tell you that Swamiji, but King Janaka got realized in 2 minutes. That's the description. That there is a text called Ashtavakra Gita. And the description is that this King Janaka was preparing to go out somewhere and he was going to mount his horse. And as he was mounting his horse, at that time Upadesha was given and right away realized. Like a flicker of lightning. sounds very romantic, And it may happen to you, let it happen, but don't wait for that. You have to make it happen. It doesn't happen by itself. And our commitment to make it happen. So surrender brings about freedom at every step and culminates into ultimate freedom, which is what we call the liberation while living. The Vedanta has this objective or the goal of Jivan Mukti. We become liberated even while we are alive. Don't have to wait for death. This is not event after the death, event while we are here. Because then only we can enjoy the fruits of freedom, isn't it? That right now you remain bound and after death you become free. Who knows what is happening after death? That's a matter of unverifiable belief, That there is liberation after death is something that we cannot verify. It's a belief. There is freedom when you go to heaven. It's a belief. We may believe, but what our Swami says, unverifiable belief. Because you cannot experience that as long as you are here. But that there is freedom while you are alive is a verifiable belief. You can verify yourself. So there is Shraddha involved, trust involved, but verifiable, not unverifiable. So Vedanta talks about freedom or liberation even when we are alive. So that is for you to verify. And that's how your trust becomes total. Until then the trust also is growing. Shraddha also is growing. It becomes absolute. And when you see the ultimate end as your own self. So with that we conclude here. And without taking a break, we will invite you to ask questions. So question and answer session follows right away. Because once we disperse, it is difficult to come back. So right now the things are fresh in your mind. And therefore there are some sheets of paper that they have prepared. They can hand over to you, somebody can distribute them to you, and you can write your questions on them. So why not our couple of young ladies, they can be volunteer and pick up those things and deliver here, One on that side, one on this side. So let us start with what we have. If you receive any questions, please pass on to me so we can start. In the meantime, they can write other questions.
No, it's nothing. It's plain. Oh my God. Yeah, just pass it. To write it down. Anyone need pen?
So let us start with the question that I have in my hand. What is the difference between samadhi and moksha? What is the difference between samadhi and moksha? Samadhi is a state of mind and moksha is the nature of the self. Moksha means unconditional freedom, and that is my own nature, and therefore recognizing my nature to be unconditional freedom is becoming that. So knowing and becoming is one thing. So moksha is seeing myself as free, whether I am in samadhi or not. So moksha or liberation not confined to a state of mind that I am liberated only when my mind is absorbed in something. It is you are liberated even when you are living your day-to-day life. So moksha is not so much a happening as much as a recognition of the reality of life. Freedom is the reality of life. Freedom is my nature. In all this preparation that we discussed is required to recognize who I am, that's all. That my mind become disposed to appreciate who I am. Right now my own mind rejects myself and doesn't appreciate who I am. So thus transforming that mind which gains the capacity to appreciate what I am, what it is. In that process, samadhi is, of course, a state of mind where all thoughts are absorbed, is a state of absorption, which is an experience, which is a state of mind, but that need not be equated to moksha. Because again that state can go away and we can go back to what we were before. So whereas samadhi is a very desirable experience and not an ordinary experience, but in itself it does not mean moksha. It is a state of mind. Moksha is not a state of mind, it is the nature of myself. So any state of mind, you are liberated if you recognize your true self. Second question is meditation and or samadhi necessary to attain moksha? So, in moksha there are threefold obstacles. Moksha, liberation, threefold obstacle. One is ignorance, other is doubt, and third is habitual error. Ignorance meaning that not knowing myself as to who I am or knowing myself contrary to who I am. Ignorance manifests in my life as this notion on myself that I am a limited being, I am inadequate being, I am incomplete being. So this is called ignorance. First obstacle. That goes by vichara or by shravanam. When I expose myself to the teaching of Vedanta, then the teachers makes me see that these opinions of myself about mine are wrong. That I have concluded that I am an inadequate person. That's my opinion about myself. It doesn't have any logical basis at all. I have simply taken these things for granted about myself. So when we apply reasoning to what the true nature of myself is, in keeping what the scriptures reveal, then we realize that various opinions and notions I am entertaining about myself have no logical basis at all. They are simply taken for granted. That's called ignorance. So thus ignorance is removed by this knowledge, which is the first step of vichara shravanam. And then if some doubts are left or they rise, then we have to remove them by a process of reasoning. It's called mananam. And the third obstacle is the habit of identifying the body. Taking body as myself, this habit has been going on from the time beginningless. And therefore, even after knowing that I am liberated, knowing that I am complete, that habit comes back. When I am not alert to my knowledge, then my old habit takes over. So remaining alert. Alertness, I am Brahman, I am liberated, I am free. Making my mind see this again and again, alertness is how he overcome the habitual error. This is called nididhyasanam or meditation. So meditation certainly of this kind is necessary for overcoming the habitual error of identifying with the body-mind sense complex. Any clarification needed for this question? In case you need clarification in my answer, please lift your hand. How willpower is connected or separate from ego. Willpower belongs to ego. Ego alone has the willpower and free will. Free will also belongs to ego. But Swami, that means what? You are asking us to exercise free will. That means you are perpetuating ego. Well, when we talk of self-transformation, we talk of transformation in ego first. Before we grow out of ego, before we become free from ego, it is necessary that ego should become sattvic ego. Our mind is sattva, rajas and tamas. So when the ego is an influence of tamas, then all these demoniac tendencies are there, of cruelty is there, all this is the tamas. When the ego is under the influence of rajas, then it is a ego that is craving, has this craving, and therefore it wants more and more pleasure and more things, that is the rajas. From that we will transform it to sattva. That is why the formula is transform yourself from being consumer to a contributor. A consumer is a rajasic ego, a contributor is sattvic ego. Ego is still there. In all process of karma yoga or self-transformation, ego is there, except that the ego slowly gets transformed from tamas to rajas and rajas to sattva. So until then the willpower is there. When we will use our willpower to do what is right rather than do what is convenient. That's where willpower is used. It's ego that is using the willpower. In that process, we wish to transform the ego from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva. Then now we pursue the knowledge. With knowledge I realize that even sattvic ego also is not my real nature. That my real nature is nothing but consciousness. And so ego is the final renouncer, also is renounced. So yes, ego alone is connected, or the free will is connected to ego. First transformation of ego and then growing out of ego. You said, surrender the surrenderer. See, ego surrenders. Who surrenders? The ego surrenders. And through this process of surrender, we want to transform the ego to a sattvic ego. Now, final step is to even grow out of that ego, sattvic ego also. But the ego also, there is a sense of limitation. Ego also feels separation between itself and Ishvara. Even the sattvic ego has sattvic separation is there. So what is meant by giving up that surrenderer is that I no more remain a surrenderer also. I no more remain a meditator also. Even the last role also is let go. That even the witness also is let go. Giver up also is let go by recognizing that is also a role. And therefore, that's the last role that we let go. So by surrender, we let go other roles, and ultimately by recognizing that surrender also is not I'm nothing but just consciousness. In that, the last role of surrenderer also is given up. That's the last role is given up in the recognition of the fact that, oh, what I am is just consciousness. There is no individuality in me. So that is called by knowledge, surrendering the surrenderer, there was a knowledge of the self. Question on forgiveness. At times, I strongly believe I have forgiven a person. At times, I strongly believe I have forgiven a person. But when I encounter the same person, I really haven't. But you may have. This forgiving is an act that has to take place again and again to overcome our habitual error. There is a history with that person. where I have felt hurt or abused or insulted by that person, and therefore there is a build-up of resentment or anger towards that person. Now, in act of forgiveness, I am a deliberate person, and I see it is not reasonable on my part to reject that person, not reasonable for me to be angry at that person, because that is a helpless person. So when I see that, my anger goes away, sympathy arises, forgiveness happens. When that person comes back again, the old habit, so habitual error still remains of associating that person as the one who has hurt me, so it comes back again. So you forgive again. Third time, forgive again. So, deeper the root of hurt, longer it will take to completely forgive. We do forgive at that time, but it is but the roots are still there and they'll come up again. So forgive again. There is called in Sanskrit, they call it Sthuna Nikhanana Nyaya. When you have a post which you want to plant in the earth, you plant it and then shake it, and plant it and shake it until it becomes firm. Similarly, we get shaken up when you see that person again, so you plant. You get shaken up, see that person again, you plant. Just bring back this method again and again and again. So everything is a process. Nothing happens in a moment. Forgiving also is a process because it involves me to grow from a habit of reacting. And then I can't expect that I have given up reaction momentarily. At that moment I have given up. My old self comes back. That's called old rut comes back. Again I react. Again I go back. Again I react. Again I become alert. So all it means is that this forgiving also we have to practice again and again until it becomes spontaneous. That's for every value. When you value speaking truth, if we're in a habit of telling lies, then speaking truth doesn't happen right away. It takes time. You know the famous story of a beggar. This fellow was a beggar for 50 years. And somebody was advising him, hey, why don't you buy this lottery ticket? It costs just, small amount. So every month he would buy a lottery ticket for years together. And one day he was lucky and he hit the jackpot and he became multi-millionaire overnight. Became a rich man. Now he has a new house and a big car with a chauffeur. And now he has a car key which is, tingling in his hand to show to the world that now I'm no more a beggar, I'm a rich man. But he has to own up this rich man. Because that beggar does not go away, beggar has gone away in the form, but not gone away in the spirit. So formerly was a beggar, sitting in a row with other beggars. When somebody came to donate something, they always grab. Before the fellow has a chance, they grab from him. Someone brings some sweets, they grab the sweets. And he was an expert. And so one day he went to a temple, because by the grace of that deity he won the lottery. So he went to pay his respect and made a gift, etc., and was returning. On the temple veranda itself, somebody was distributing those big laddus, to beggars. So this fellow did not even realize at what time he entered the crowd of the beggars. He managed to push himself in the front and grab that laddu. It was done habitually. He forgot that he was a wealthy person. He again got back to the old rut of being a beggar. And then he realized, what have I done? So he used to meditate. I'm a rich man. I'm a rich man. I'm a rich man. Which is a fact. But meditate means he has to keep on repeating because the mind comes up with this idea, I'm a beggar. So say, I'm a rich man. Mind says, I'm a beggar. I'm a rich man. It's called nididhyasanam. It's to overcome a habitual error. And so in all the values also, before they become firm, we have to overcome that habit of going back to the old rut. And do it again and again and again. not lose patience. What's the right way to chant Om? Om, Om, Om. And then they prescribe chanting of Om elongating also. So sometimes they say Om is made up of these three letters A, U, Ma, where A stands for creation, U stands for sustenance, Ma stands for dissolution. Because with Ma you close the mouth, with A you open your mouth, with Ma you close your mouth, with U you use the whole mouth, A is the first sound that arises when you do not much articulate. U requires the help of the whole thing, and Ma requires closing the mouth. So creation, sustenance, dissolution. So sometimes some people elongate Om, in which case they are emphasizing the creation part. Some Om, sometimes they elongate the Ma, the dissolution part. So you can chant either way, but you can certainly elongate Om, so for your mind to get absorbed. We elongate that for the mind to get absorbed in that chanting. That is the purpose of that. And so whatever helps you. And you can simply chant Om without any thinking. Second step is to chant Om while contemplating the meaning of the Om. Both ways Om can be chanted. But when Om is a mantra, which is the name of Ishvara, then you just Om, is the simplest name of Ishvara. And you can chant Om, Om, Om. That's a simple way of chanting. Or Om you can elongate also if you want your mind to be absorbed in that. Although Panini says that Om is only 3 matras and therefore you should not elongate anything if you follow that. But then the Yoga Shastra tells us that you should elongate the Om. So it depends on who you believe. But then Yoga is meant mainly for training our mind for silence and, So that way Yoga Shastra prescribes elongating this Om in this manner. And then you can slowly bring out this, watch where the sound emerges from, and then practice that the sound emerges from the deeper and deeper aspect of yourself. For it comes only from the throat, then from the heart, then from the navel, then from the base. So that's how we can monitor that sound and try to originate the sound from the deeper and deeper aspect of yourself. How can I accept and forgive a dishonest and adharmic person? How can I accept and forgive a dishonest and adharmic person? How can I forgive him? Am I not supposed to get angry and fight adharma? Lord Krishna asked Arjuna to fight, is it not so? And fight against adharma, because the Kaurava forces represent adharma, and Lord Krishna asks Arjuna to confront and fight adharma. Is not Lord Krishna preaching violence? Is not Lord Krishna preaching anger? No, fighting does not necessarily require anger. That's what Lord Krishna wants to teach Arjuna. How to do what is right without submitting yourself to any impulses. If Arjuna fights this battle out of anger, it is doing only wrong thing, what is convenient. So he is asked, while you fight this battle, keep all your raga dveshas under control. Be prepared to accept the outcome as a prasada of Ishvara. Never, do not keep the outcome in your mind at all. May you totally focus your attention on what you are doing. Then only you can be in the present. While we are performing an action, if the mind is preoccupied with what the outcome is going to be, then we cannot be in the present. Our mind is in future. They cannot do justice to what we are doing in the present. So Lord Krishna says, pay attention to what you are doing. Forget about the outcome. Yes, when you plan your action, you plan for a given outcome. No doubt about that. But having determined what to do, now give the thought of outcome. Give the concern about the outcome. Outcome will come. Give the concern about the outcome as to how to make the outcome favorable to me. Now you focus attention on action, which is in the present, without any reaction. So no attachment, no greed, no manipulation. Do the thing that is right. Dot all the T's, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. Do everything that is to be done. So yes, you can fight adharma without being angry. If you fight anything with anger, then you are doing adharma yourself. Understand? Anger itself is adharma. Because whenever you get angry, what we do is nothing but violence. So violence cannot be fought back by violence. Violence can be fought back by non-violence. So you can be a non-violent, you can be fighter, all right, because that's the duty requires, but you don't react. It's not reaction, not a retaliation. It's a deliberate action, a right action. So it is possible to fight adharma without hating somebody, without being angry at them, being still sympathetic to them. They don't know what they are doing. But then you think that it is your duty to correct or do something in the situation, do that. But not out of anger. So Lord Krishna says, Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo. Be indifferent to or be equanimous with reference to outcome. With an equanimous mind, may you do your job. So the place to start is with the satisfaction balance sheet. Balance sheet of satisfaction. Is it the place to start? Taking account of where you are? Yes. Taking account of your income, of what you earn. Let us say taking account of your earning. Except that earning here is measured in terms of self-satisfaction. Earning can be measured in terms of your income, etc., which is fine. But here, earning in terms of how much satisfaction you have acquired. Am I better than last year in terms of my self-acceptance, self-satisfaction? Am I have overcome to some extent my greed, etc.? Or I am as greedy as before? I am as dissatisfied as before? So yes, taking stock of satisfaction is taking stock of the true self, where I am. And then a plan as to what do I have to do, what attitude. Planning is only in terms of attitudes and values, nothing else. You do what you do in your life, but with the right attitudes and values. Because they alone bring satisfaction. What we do doesn't bring satisfaction. The attitude brings satisfaction. You follow? Attitude and values bring satisfaction, not what we do. So do what you have to do. But use that occasion of doing to practice the values and attitudes, because they bring satisfaction, they bring happiness. Therefore, values and attitudes are a means of securing happiness, not action. Action simply becomes an occasion for me to follow those values and attitudes. It's an occasion. They bring about happiness or unhappiness. So right values and attitudes bring about happiness, and wrong values that brings about unhappiness. Simple equation. If everything happens due to the laws of nature and Ishvara, then why does society punish people who make mistakes or do wrong to others? That's a good question. That what happens according to laws of Ishvara. Unfortunately, the judge will not accept this argument. His mandate is only to make judgment according to laws of the land and not laws of Ishvara, not even moral laws. He may take moral laws into account, but basically only laws of the land. Meaning that if you are clever enough to cheat the government of the tax, as long as it is according to the law and you're smart to find a loophole, they cannot do anything to you. Even though morally you may be wrong, legally you are not wrong. And therefore, yes, this order in the society can be maintained only when we follow the law of land. And therefore, it becomes necessary to punish or do restrain, put it this way. Punishment, you call it, or call it a restraining. So people who are disruptive to the society, who are harmful to society, should be restrained to prevent them from creating harm, to protect the rest of the people. The idea is to maintain an order in the society so that people can live peacefully. If there are elements whose nature is to disrupt, you have to restrain them. Like our own child, sometimes they're disruptive. You see something and throws it and breaks it. Then you restrain. You don't have to punish the child. Punishing is the second step, but the first step is restraining the child. Not allowing him to disrupt. Not allowing the child to destroy. So not allowing these people to disrupt the society or destroy somebody, because that is nobody's business. Nobody has a mandate to hurt anybody else. Therefore it is right that society restrains these people. And the only way you can restrain is put them in prison. How else will you restrain them? So they have discovered ways of restraining them. And hopefully, ideally, a prison is a correction facility, you know. The ideal is that this person is to be corrected so that by the time he completes his prison terms, he becomes a normal person. That's the ideal. Whether it happens or not is different. They become more greater criminals sometimes, you know. But a prison is called a correction facility, where you create an environment where a person gets corrected, he recognizes his mistakes and then has an incentive to correct himself. If you simply punish them, they retaliate, then they take revenge, so they don't get corrected. So correctional facilities. So we have to restrain disruptive elements, otherwise they will disrupt the order in the society. So that's why it is done. Any more? No more questions or any more? He doesn't want more questions. Yeah. All right, so we'll respect him and then we bring a stop to this session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.